I want you to sit with a question for a moment before I say anything else. What if trading isn't actually hard? Not what if it's simple. Not what if there's some secret shortcut nobody told you about. But genuinely, what if the thing you've been treating as an impossibly complex, endlessly demanding, psychologically brutal endeavor is actually, underneath all of it, quite straightforward? I know what you want to do with that question. You want to dismiss it. You want to point to your blown accounts, your sleepless nights, the strategies that stopped working, the losses that still sting when you think about them. You want to say, if trading were easy, everyone would be making money. And clearly, most people aren't. But I'm not asking you to agree with me yet. I'm just asking you to hold the question open for a few minutes. Because the answer, and I mean the real answer, not the comfortable one, is probably not what you expect. Trading is easy. The execution of trading is what's hard. And most traders spend their entire careers working on the wrong one. Let me explain what I mean by that. The actual mechanics of a good trade are not complicated. You identify a market that is doing something recognizable. You wait for conditions that align with your edge. You enter with a defined risk. You let the trade resolve. You exit. You move on. That's it. That is the complete cycle of a trade. There is nothing in that sequence that requires exceptional intelligence, rare insight, or years of specialized knowledge. The rules of good trading can be written on one page. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Trade with the trend. Let winners run, cut losers fast. Don't trade when the setup isn't there. Keep your position size consistent. Journal what you do. Review it honestly. Repeat. Those rules are not a secret. They are in every trading book ever written. Every successful trader arrived at some version of them. Nobody who has traded seriously for any length of time disagrees with them. And yet almost nobody follows them. Not because the rules are hard to understand. Because they are hard to follow. And that distinction between understanding and following is where the entire difficulty of trading actually lives. Think about the last time you broke one of your own rules. I don't mean the last time you made a bad trade. I mean the last time you made a trade knowing, while you were making it, that it didn't fully meet your criteria, that the setup wasn't clean, that you were entering because you were bored or frustrated or because you'd been watching price move for 20 minutes and couldn't take sitting out any longer. You knew. In that moment, you knew. And you did it anyway. That is not a knowledge problem. You already knew the rule. That is a self-management problem. And self-management is where trading gets hard. Here's what makes this interesting. The market itself is not your opponent. Price movement is random enough at any given moment that no individual trader can reliably outsmart it in the short term. The edge in trading comes not from predicting the market but from consistently executing a process that has a positive expected value over time. You don't need to be right every trade. You need to follow the process enough times that the edge shows up in the result. That process, the thing you need to execute, is not complicated. Identifying setups, managing risk, taking and closing trades according to a plan. A reasonably intelligent person can learn the mechanics of that in a few months. What takes much longer, what most traders never fully develop, is the psychological infrastructure to execute that process consistently under pressure. When you're down on the day, when you've just had 3 losses in a row, when you see a move running without you, when the market is moving fast and you feel left behind, when you're up on the day and a voice is telling you to push your luck just a little further. Those moments are where trading happens, not in the setup, not in the analysis, in the moment between recognizing what you should do and actually doing it. And in those moments, trading is hard, not because the right action is unclear, because executing the right action requires you to override some of the most deeply wired instincts you have as a human being. Your brain is not designed for trading. It is designed for survival in an environment where decisive action, pattern recognition, and emotional response to threat kept you alive. Every one of those features works against you in the market. The instinct to act decisively pushes you into trades before setups are confirmed. The pattern recognition that kept your ancestors alive makes you see patterns in random price movement that aren't there. The emotional response to threat, the spike of cortisol when a trade moves against you, shuts down the prefrontal cortex and hands decision-making to the part of your brain that just wants the discomfort to stop. None of that is your fault. All of it is your problem. And here is what I think is the most important and most underappreciated truth in trading. The traders who make it are not the ones who solved the market. They are the ones who solved themselves. They are the ones who built habits, structures, and systems that allow them to execute simple rules consistently despite the psychological pressure the market creates. They didn't find a more complex strategy. They found a way to follow a simple one. When I look back at my own development as a trader, the thing that changed everything wasn't learning a new setup or discovering a different way to read the market. It was the period when I finally stopped treating my psychological reactions as obstacles between me and trading and started treating them as the actual subject matter. When I understood that my impatience, my need to recover losses quickly, my inability to sit on the sidelines for long stretches, those weren't things happening to me while I was trying to trade. Those were the trading problem. The only one that actually mattered. The strategy was fine. The rules were fine. My relationship with following them under pressure was not fine. And until that changed, nothing else could. So when I say trading is easy, I mean the following. The framework of profitable trading is available to anyone. It is not hidden. It is not proprietary. It does not require a background in finance or mathematics or access to special information. The logic of what a consistently profitable trader does can be understood by most people within a relatively short period of study. What is not easy is becoming the kind of person who can execute that framework consistently across thousands of trades and hundreds of sessions, including the bad ones, the losing streaks, the flat weeks, the days where you feel invisible and the market seems designed specifically to stop you out. The sessions where everything tells you to break the rules and somehow you have to find the discipline not to. That development, building the psychological consistency that profitable trading requires, is genuinely difficult. It takes time. It requires honest self-examination that most people would rather avoid. It requires being wrong repeatedly and not letting that destroy your confidence or your discipline. It requires a tolerance for uncertainty that runs counter to almost everything we are conditioned to seek. But here is why the distinction matters. If you believe trading is hard because the market is complex and unpredictable and beyond your ability to understand, you will keep looking for better tools. Better indicators, better strategies, better signal services, better systems. You will keep searching for the thing that finally makes the market make sense. And you will search for a long time because that thing does not exist. If you understand that trading is easy and the execution is hard, that the framework is simple and the challenge is in following it, you stop looking outward and start looking inward. You stop asking what you need to learn about the market and start asking what you need to understand about yourself. What patterns of behavior are costing you? What emotional triggers are compromising your execution? What small daily habits are quietly building or destroying your consistency? That is a completely different and far more productive conversation. The market is not the mystery. You are. And unlike the market, you can actually do something about that. Trading is easy. Go find out what's making it hard for you specifically. That is the whole journey. And it is entirely possible.